You know, when we think about India's fight for independence, a few famous male faces probably pop into your head. But that's only half the story. There's this whole other side, filled with incredible courage and revolutionary leadership that's often been left in the shadows. So today, let's bring that story into the light.
And let's be clear, this isn't just a side note or a nice to have. The history is simple. The story of India's freedom is just, well, it's incomplete without the women who were at its very center. They weren't just supporters. They were leaders, they were fighters, and they were the architects of a brand new nation.
Because here's the thing. Their struggle wasn't just against a colonial empire. For so many of them, it was actually a fight on two fronts. One for the country's freedom, and another against the oppressive social rules right there in their own society. So who were these women who dared to fight both battles at once? All right, let's dive in. Our story actually starts, maybe surprisingly, not in India, but all the way over in Europe, with this single, incredibly bold act of defiance that sent ripples across the globe. Okay, so picture this. It's 1907. You're in a huge hall in Germany, packed with hundreds of delegates from all over the world. The plan is to hoist the flag for each nation represented, but when it comes to India, the organizers are about to raise the British Union Jack.
And then, a woman in a traditional Parsi sari stands up. This is Bikaiji Kama, and she stands up and says, "Absolutely not. The flag of our oppressor will not represent my country." And then she does something that just leaves the entire room stunned.
She pulls out this small tricolor flag that she had designed with other revolutionaries. And what's so amazing is that every single detail was a powerful symbol for a united India that didn't even exist yet. Saffron for Hindus, green for Muslims. This wasn't just a flag, it was a vision. You had the sun and moon for Hindu-Muslim unity, and right in the middle, the powerful cry, Vande Mataram, I praise thee, mother.
Holding that flag high, she says this to the whole world. It was the very first time an Indian flag was ever hoisted on foreign soil. I mean, what a powerful public announcement of India's dream for freedom, long before it became real.
So, Bikaji Kama's act was this incredible spark. But you know how it is, a spark needs oxygen to turn into a real fire. Now, let's see how that individual courage helped ignite a powerful, organized movement back home in India.
In the early 1900s, women were realizing something crucial. What good is national freedom if you don't have personal freedom? So they started to organize, to create a powerful collective voice that could demand change in a way a single person just couldn't.
And get this, it happened so fast. In just one decade, 3 massive national women's organizations were born. This was a total game changer. This is the moment women went from just being participants to becoming organized leaders of change. And this slide really shows you that two-front war they were fighting. On one side, you've got the British. But on the other, you have these deeply rooted patriarchal customs. Things like the purdah system, enforced widowhood, and the huge issue of child marriage. And their hard work? It got real results. I mean, actual, tangible change. The Sarda Act of 1929, which was a law to restrain child marriage, wasn't just handed to them. No way. It was won through years and years of relentless campaigning by these exact women's organizations. It was a huge victory. So as women's political power grew, the entire freedom struggle kicked into a higher gear, leading to this final massive uprising in the 1940s. This was the moment. The famous do or die call from Mahatma Gandhi that kicked off the Quit India movement. It was an all or nothing moment. The demand was for immediate independence, and the whole country was just electric. So the British did what they always did. They responded instantly by arresting Gandhi and almost every other major male leader overnight. They figured, hey, we've cut the head off the snake. But they made a huge miscalculation because they completely underestimated who was left. A massive leadership vacuum was created. And you know who stepped into it? Thousands upon thousands of women. They became the new torchbearers. And look, they weren't just filling in, oh no. They were leading the charge on everything, from nonviolent stuff like hoisting flags and leading huge street demonstrations, to much more dangerous work like sabotaging railway lines and even running secret underground radio stations to keep the message of freedom alive.
And one of the most legendary figures from this time has to be Aruna Asaf Ali. With all the senior leaders locked up, it was she who got up on stage in Bombay and hoisted the Indian flag. That single act officially kicked off the mass movement, and she became this incredible symbol of defiance for the whole country. But all of this incredible defiance, it came at a terrible, terrible price. For many, that do-or-die call became a tragic, final reality. In the state of Assam, there was a young woman named Kanaklata Barua. She was part of a group they called the Mrityu Bahini, which translates to Death Squad. Now, their mission was nonviolent but incredibly risky, to hoist the national flag on government buildings. And she led a procession of unarmed villagers right to the front door of a police station. She was just 17 years old. Let that sink in for a second. 17. The police opened fire and she was shot and killed, still holding the flag. Her courage at that age is just a heartbreaking example of the passion that was fueling this whole movement. And then there's the absolutely heart-wrenching story of Tara Rani Srivastava. She and her husband were marching together, side by side, to protest. The police shot him, right there in front of her. But instead of stopping, she bandaged his wound, handed him off to others, and just kept marching alone, holding that flag high. By the time she got back, he had died. Her spirit, though, was completely unbroken. So you see, the stories of these women, the leaders, the organizers, the martyrs, they aren't just little side notes in a history book. They're the very foundation of the freedom that was eventually won. Even Gandhi himself knew it. Their contributions weren't just supportive. They were absolutely central. These were leaders who took on the incredible challenge of fighting an empire while at the same time working to break down centuries of social oppression. Their legacy proves something so important, that the fight for a better world is never fought on just one battlefield. They fought for a future of both national independence and social equality. And so, their unbreakable spirit leaves all of us with a question. How does their story inspire our own struggles today?